G'day, it's Anthony Gillespie here. How are you? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. You can see the image behind me. That's me surfing with my stepson. That's the sort of thing that motivates me to want to age well. I want to be able to do stuff like that when I'm 80. How about you? I guess, you might have a different picture behind you. You might have yourself climbing mountains. You might be riding mountain bikes in France. You might be playing with your grandkids or your kids. This is for people who are over 40 or thereabouts that really are now super ready to think about aging well. You might be 60 or 70 and that's absolutely cool. And you might be 35. Generally speaking, I'm looking for people that are about having the second half of their life either better or as good as the first half. If their first half was really good, the only way that's going to happen is if you are very active and you eat well. So if that's something that you haven't achieved as yet, then I believe you're in the right place to find out exactly what the process is. And I've been doing this for quite a long time. I come from a background of both exercise science and psychology and a business I started back in 2005. But I started in this industry from 1990. And I believe there's a process you got to follow. And if you don't, then you're highly likely not to achieve what I know that you want to achieve. And that's why you're here. If you haven't achieved it yet, the question is, why not? I think you need some help. And maybe I'm the person to give that to you. After watching this video, you might decide that you'd like to reach out, and you will have an opportunity to have a chat with me about how it all works, the coaching side works, and also gives me a chance to chat with you. It's got to be a good connection from both sides for this to really be successful. So thanks very much for joining me. I'm just going to go through what I believe you need to be doing to get a great result. But first, let's talk about you and where you're at right now. Perhaps this whole COVID situation has just dragged you down, and you wouldn't be alone. It's been pretty horrible 2 years. You may not have been affected super badly when you compare it to some people, but there is no doubt everyone has had some impact from it. And things like being stressed and low energy it's pretty common. You may be always feeling tired because you're trying to make ends meet. With you may have a business and it's been under threat, or your job has been under threat as well lately. You might be worried about aging badly. I know that's something that I think of. I lost both my parents late 2019 and early 2020, and I am keen to have the second half of my life better than the first half, if that's possible. I mean, I was pretty athletic and healthy when I was younger, and so it's going to be hard to do probably better than that. But to age well, the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to stay active and keep moving. You got to do it. If you don't do it, it all stops. If you stop doing activity, you stop getting the benefits, and that's one of the things that we're about helping you get into the habit, so it just continues on and on. Once you start, you can't stop. One of the big buzzwords of today is immunity, and I think that there's no better way to ensure yourself against the effects of COVID, and perhaps even from actually getting COVID, and that's to have a good, strong immune system. And that comes from being healthy and fit. That's not spoken a lot about these days, and it should be. Perhaps you're overweight, you've been stuck indoors and eating more of the wrong foods for whatever reason, and you've tried multiple things to get on top of that and haven't succeeded. That can be very frustrating. There is a formula. You can do that. It is possible. There's a lot of complications around it according to the mainstream media, but it doesn't have to be complex. You may be suffering from lower back pain. If you are, you're amongst the 80% of people that experience that. But there are things that you can do. Inactivity is one of the worst things for exacerbating and making that situation worse. You might be a little bit like me. You might have some time off exercise and you come back and you come in all guns blazing at a level that you're not ready for. Your body's not ready for it. Your mind is. You have a memory of what you used to be able to do, but your body just says, no, I'm not ready for that. And you get injured. And then there's this stop-start. So very hard to get consistent with it. There's processes around how you should handle your return to exercise. Perhaps, again, the eating badly has made you feel sluggish and you want to change that. Well, look, I think you're in the right place. you're considering it, what is the answer to all these, maladies, all this bad stuff? What can you do? You've probably tried a lot of things. This is something that I think that is completely glossed over or never even paid attention to by people starting exercise program. You've got to have a connection with why you want to do this, a strong connection. It's got to be an emotional connection. I look at that image behind me, and I have an emotional connection with that, because if I'm not able to be healthy and fit enough to jump on a surfboard and paddle out, then I can't spend time with my stepson. And that would be an absolute tragedy. So you've got to find what drives you. And I've had people sit in front of me multiple times over the years mentioning how they want to be fit and toned up and then stopping at that. Well, I think it goes way deeper than that for everybody that starts exercise. And you need to dig into that, and definitely we can help with that process, but that's where it starts. And that's our process. I've studied exercise science and psychology, 7 years of study at university, and I was convinced, and this feeling young for longer, by the way, is, I think, probably a cover-all. Most people, that would be a true statement. And there's this, in the fitness industry, there's been a lot of marketing around looking good, whether it's six-pack abs or bikini body. Most people that I deal with, that's not the top priority. The top priority is just to simply feel better. And the only way that you're going to feel better is if you take action. So for me, it was about, you had to get the motivation right. You had to, more or less be thinking the right way to make it happen. And then obviously that led to movement, and then that led to eating better. Well, in reality, people can wait a lifetime looking for inspiration and motivation. You need to simply start moving. And the process really starts right here, and it doesn't have to be anything complicated. Just get out and start walking. What is important is that you start at a level that you can handle, and it's something that you actually like doing, because then you got a chance to keep doing it. So it starts there. And then normally with exercise, when you start exercising, people start to pay a bit more attention to what they're eating, because they don't want to see these results wasted. There is also that problem, and I've seen it happen, where people start exercising and go, oh, now I can eat this or eat that, or drink this or drink that. And that will undermine the results, so no doubt about that. So we need to make sure we're on top of the nutrition to get the full benefits of the exercise. And then it's funny enough that starts to lead into more motivation around exercise, and it completes the loop. To be honest, it really is something that once you get this going, it will just have a life of its own. And that's what needs to happen for this to be of value. It needs to get to the point where it becomes a habit, just like cleaning your teeth. It's something that you don't think about. Willpower is taken completely out of the equation, and if you get to that, you will have success. So I don't think there's any confusion around the idea that regular exercise and better eating are the answer to so many problems and ailments in our society. When you think about heart disease, diabetes, colds and flus, COVID, osteoporosis, depression, cancer, slowing down aging, there's really nothing in terms of the big problems that we have with illness that cannot be helped by exercise and healthy eating. The reason it's not pushed that hard, or the government doesn't worry that much about it, is because there's really not a lot of money in it. That's the cynic side of me coming out, but we don't need to go too far down that path. But I believe that this is something that everybody can do. But if you haven't done it yet, then I think you need help to make it happen. And then it's something that you can continue on doing yourself. We may be the necessary evil, the coach to help you get to the point where you do this by yourself. That is the goal. There's no doubt about that. This little image here was meant to indicate that a coach is super necessary. Probably not the greatest image when you think about where it ended up for Hillary in this movie. At the end of the movie wasn't the greatest ending point, but the point holds true, that you will perform better if you have a coach. There's no doubt about it. It's about accountability. That's the reason that we exist. And if you do it right, it will lead to habits for life. That is the end point. So I'm not going to go into a big spiel about who I am and why you should work with me in particular. If you've seen enough so far, there's a bit of story to all these images, but we'll just jump right through these. There's a bit of a story. about myself that will be important, because we need to have a good connection if we're going to work together. So the next step is, are we a good fit? Have I shown you enough to make you think, okay, this guy's talking some sense? Reach out, let's have a conversation. There's going to be zero pressure around me trying to sell you into something. We have to feel good with each other. It has to make sense for you. And there's going to be a link that you can go to a page and just answer a few simple questions, and then we can set up a time to have a chat. So it's decision time. You're at a crossroads potentially. That's why you're still watching. One thing's for certain: if you don't take action, you got to stay where you are. If not, go backwards. Unfortunately, nothing ever really stays still. You're either going forwards or backwards. So is it take action or not take action? I talk about the 4 10s. So a lot of people get close to making a decision, and they stay in this kind of short-term thinking, and they pull the pin for whatever reason, and they'll feel good within 10 minutes, say, oh yeah, okay, well, I didn't commit to it and spend the money or allocate the time, because both of those things are of value to people. But I want you to just ask the question: how are you going to feel if you don't take any action in 10 weeks time, in 10 months time, or 10 years from now? I've seen it many times. I've had people sit in front of me. I still know what they're doing now, and 10 years have gone past and they haven't taken action. And that doesn't end in a great place. So it's over to you now. Here's the link. If you want to have a conversation with me, like I said, no pressure. Let's catch up, talk, see what you're trying to achieve, and let's see if there's something that we can do together. Thanks so much for coming by.